Thank you. The challenge that was posed to us here for this lightning talk is to look ahead 10 years and see how we're going to deal with those challenges. And to address that, I'm going to look back 10 years first, actually 11 years to 2006, at a time when US forces were in Iraq and attacking a group of Mahdi militiamen in Iraq. They killed 16 individuals of the enemy. They captured 16. They got rid of a big cache of enemy weapons. They freed a hostage. They got back to base, but they lost this battle because in the 45 minutes it took them to get back to base, the enemy had come back, gotten rid of the evidence of the arms, put prayer mats under the bloody bodies, and put pictures up on the internet that suggested that the Americans had committed an atrocity and killed people who were praying in a mosque. Jump to 2013. AP gets their Twitter feed hacked briefly. It's only 2.5 minutes before people figure out what's going on. Partly they figure it out because it's an AP tweet supposedly, but they don't follow AP style. So they're capitalizing explosions and using Barack Obama's first name. But in those 2.5 minutes, $136 billion in equity value disappear off of the stock market. Later in 2013, some people looking to cause trouble in India take a video that shows a crowd of people beating up somebody. The video was taken in Pakistan, but they put a fake caption on it. They say this happened in India, and it happened today, and it's Muslims beating up Hindus, and that starts a riot, and it takes 13,000 police to quell that riot. And more recently, an otherwise savvy reporter, Chris, gets fooled by a 3-second video that's up there that suggests that the First Lady of Poland has actually snubbed President Trump by refusing to shake his hand. It's not true. The full-length video shows that that isn't what happened, but it fools people, and for a while it's a little bit of a political fracas. So I bring up these 4 examples because these are things that had not insignificant impact geopolitically, national security-wise, economically, politically, and they were done with like zero technology, right? A little bit of Photoshop, a little bit of rewriting a caption, a little bit of editing a video, and you have a problem or a riot on your hands. What happens when the technology gets good enough so that you can make these kinds of illusory things or draw questions about what's real and what's not at a much higher degree? What happens when, for example, the video technology that's under development now that makes it look like someone is saying something that they never said before gets so good that you can't tell the difference? Or the technology that's now already in use projecting Trump-loyal like 3-dimensional images on the sides of buildings to make you think something in 3-dimensional space is happening when it's not? What happens when that technology of bending light and using lasers can be projected into empty space in front of you, and it seems like something's happening downtown on the mall or in Tiananmen Square that isn't happening at all? Or the opposite technology, which is under development by the DoD right now and by some commercial sectors, that does the opposite, that actually bends light around things so that something that is happening is literally invisible through cloaking methods. This is going to make it extremely difficult to answer the one question that, the most important question that a wise person once told me was the most important question you can ask as a journalist, which is, how do you know that? How do you know that's true? And I'm glad to see that at ONA, in this meeting, there's a lot of discussion about using technology approaches as well as human-based approaches to start to unravel those things. It's going to be a very difficult thing to do when the technology gets better than it is today. One thing I want to address, though, is an easier problem, and that is not how to deal with disinformation conducted this way, but what to do with mere misinformation, which is often a problem in its own right. What does a reporter do when they're faced with a press release that suggests that dark chocolate and olive oil is a cure for cancer? Or what do you do when you get a press release that says maybe the Earth is actually cooling instead of warming? Or you get a press release that's just kind of interesting and says we've discovered something fundamentally new about the nature of gravity that people might be interested in, but you have no idea how to judge that, whether you should write it, whether you should throw it out, wonder whether it's just the olive oil lobby telling you what's going on. All that's needed in that case to solve that problem is a series of good experts you can talk to base your reporting on, and that's something that I just wanted to end this 5-minute flash talk with, which is to talk about the thing I'm leading at the American Association for the Advancement of Science called SciLine, which is a way that we can provide reporters on deadline with access to experts across the whole spectrum of science who have been pre-vetted to be excellent communicators and who can help the growing cadre of reporters who are not hardcore science reporters, since newsrooms are shrinking and there's very few hardcore science reporters left, but all the general assignment reporters and people who just want to pick up an interesting story about health, medicine, or science and help them figure out what the truth is, whether they should cover it, and how they should cover it. So I encourage all of you to look for our new website. It is not search engine optimized yet because our formal launch is until the end of the month, so don't try Googling it, it won't work. But if you go to the website at www.sciline.org, you will see what we're offering, and I hope that this will take care of a small part of the problem so that science can be used in a good way and evidence can be out there in a smart way and used to help policy making and decision making and not to confuse people and have them lose trust in science. Thank you.